Welcome back to the Straight from the Supe podcast. I am the host, Ben Churchill, proud superintendent of the Poway Unified School District. I'm here today with my co-host, Josue Reyna, Chief Communications and Community Engagement Officer.
You got it.
I'm having a hard time today. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Also having a hard time, but good. I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are you having a good week?
Great week.
Yeah.
Great week. Yeah. I've had lots of opportunity to engage with young people.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about our episode today.
Yes. 100%. So we should just get straight to it because I also I don't get to visit our schools as often as I would like. Mm-hmm. My boss keeps me very busy.
Yes.
Whoever that could be. Right?
I wonder.
But today the schools have come to us in the form of we have two students, a junior and a senior.
Excellent.
These two boys are from your Student Superintendent Advisory Council.
Yes.
And I mean, they're doing so much that we got to learn a little bit about them in their last presentation.
Yep.
A few things I want to brag about other than they're just a lot of fun and positive energy.
That's right.
We have with us Bailey and we have Carter.
Yes.
From SSAC, Student Superintendent Advisory Council. Bailey, who just finished The Outsiders and played Ponyboy, was Ponyboy. Yes.
Main character, right?
Yeah. And then we have Carter with us as well, who also has a brag sheet related to speech and debate. I was wanting to go with a fun fact about his gaming skills, specifically in the Pokemon realm. I actually have, this is the one where I have a whole bunch of artifacts with me, I guess, but maybe I dropped it. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
That'd be unfortunate.
I'm excited.
I'm nervous.
I'm scared.
I was supposed to wear, I guess I'll just put it on the table if I can get it out of my pocket. I have a really cool pin.
Oh, is that a Pikachu?
It's a Pikachu. I was going to wear it because I knew Carter was coming today.
That's awesome.
But
That's cool.
I'm not going to struggle with this now.
Okay.
Boys, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome
Thank
to
you. Hello.
Straight from the Soup. We're excited
you,
to have
thank
you
you.
both here.
We're excited to be here.
Yes.
Yes, so we had a conversation earlier,
Yes.
kind of to warm up about this, and I told them I wish we would have recorded that as well because it was flowing. There's so many great ideas and such good conversation, and where we landed, we were in a bunch of places, but we landed kind of on communication and what we've learned about communication.
Okay.
As the chief communications officer, I'm 100% we're talking about this, but I want to hear from you both, and then Ben, if you want to share it, Dr. Churchill, if you want to share as well. What are some things that you're passionate about right now in school?
He's looking at me,
You can
so
go
I think
first.
that
You
means I
got
start. Well, I'm really passionate about theater, as you said. I've just performed in The Outsiders as Ponyboy. We have our next musical coming up. We have auditions in a week and a half, and that's Footloose. Come see
Nice.
it.
Wow.
And so I joined my freshman year straight out of the gate, third day of first trimester of my freshman year, and just found such an excellent community and have really loved every show I've done at the school. As I was saying to you earlier, I really love the fact that it's such an accessible space because it's there on campus, and every single high school in our district has a really great theater program, as well as so many other great programs that I am not the person to speak about. But it's just really nice to have that space where I can go and feel at home and perform. I love it.
Yeah. Do you have any theater experience?
When I was in high school, I too was involved in theater, musical theater, and loved it. It was
Any specific?
I have to say, favorite show that you performed in?
my sophomore year, I was in Annie Get Your Gun, and then junior year we did Anything Goes, and then senior year I was fortunate to play Sky Masterson in Guys and Dolls.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Pretty
Yep.
impressive lineup. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had any theater experience. That's cool.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I think you mentioned Carter that your speech and debate.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I was not speech and debate in high school, but we had something called forensics, which was a speech competition that I did as well. So that was a lot of fun.
That's
So,
awesome.
but Bailey in the theater, Carter in speech and debate.
Yeah, so
So
what's it
happy
called?
you're here.
A little less exciting than, playing Ponyboy in The Outsiders. But yeah, I do speech and debate. I've been doing it since my freshman year. It's super fun. I also do DECA. I've also been doing that just since last year, so my sophomore year, right? I'm a junior now. But both have been super fun. I really like speaking, so I tried to find places where I can do a lot of that. So DECA, and for those of you who don't know, DECA is like a business competition, so a lot of speaking in business, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, speech and debate specifically this year, it's super fun. I have the opportunity to be the Oak Valley Middle School speech and debate lead.
Wow.
So yeah, at Del Norte, we do like kind of an outreach thing with Oak Valley Middle School. It's one of the middle schools that feeds into Del Norte, and it's been super fun. I've been working with the kids. I love working with the kids, and this year it's super exciting because we actually have like 70 kids or something in total, and we have 3 different events, but it's super fun. So yeah. That's something things going on in my life recently. So yeah.
Nice. Clearly you are passionate about it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Love it.
It's very fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, awesome. So one of the things that I'm really interested in is how has your involvement in theater or speech and debate changed the way that you communicate with others?
I'd say that the biggest thing that's changed is really helping me out with how to feel confident in situations where I maybe don't feel the most confident. So I work at Mathnasium, like right by where I live, and I work as a lead instructor there. So that's like the lowest level of the management at the place.
Congratulations.
Hey,
thank you.
I know, that
It's
sounds cool.
yeah, it's nice. I got the promotion like about a year ago, and I've been doing that job ever since. And with that comes having to have like conversations with other instructors about, how they're performing and stuff and what needs to be improved upon. And those are difficult conversations to have, and require a level of confidence and like knowing that I know what's best for them that I sometimes always don't always like feel in myself. But having done theater has given me like the confidence to kind of step into that role of the management person, which I am, but still don't feel like all the time. So I like step into that. And I'm like, I know what's best. And then it's allowed me to feel much more confident in when I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
And that confidence gets them to listen to what I'm saying, which is super important in those kinds of conversations.
Nice.
That's amazing. Yeah, to hear both of you having leadership experience already is really cool. And something you may have heard of is something called the imposter syndrome, where folks, and that's a real thing.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
where you feel like I really shouldn't be that, right. Who's listening to me? But the fact that you already learned how to kind of work through that and lead authentically, even when you're not feeling confident or sure of yourself, that's a life skill, man. That's awesome. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
That's for sure. Yeah, I think same thing, similar to me, right? Speech and debate. Obviously, you learn how to speak. That's like the whole point, right? It's a competition who can speak better, basically, right? Definitely the confidence thing I think is really key. Being able to just go up and like sound confident, it makes you look like you know what you're talking about, right? That's always a good thing. But also, I think that other people, you are able to connect with other people better, right? Like if you're willing to put yourself out there, you kind of gain that confidence, like speaking, at least from my experience from like speech and debate, I think a lot. And I think specifically in like contexts like this, right, especially like SSAC, right, like communication is like one of the most important things, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have communication, like if you can't identify the problem, you can't solve it, right? So I think the things that we learn, like the things that we're learning, at least from like theater and speech and debate, like learning communication, learning how to communicate effectively and with confidence is super important, right? So yeah,
absolutely. I love that. We pride ourselves here in Poway Unified School District as being a world-class organization, right? And we have high expectations for students. We expect that they're going to do really well on standardized measures of assessment, right? The state tests and those sorts of things.
Yeah, for sure.
But we also have this expectation that you become really good communicators, collaborators, creative thinkers, problem solvers, right? And I've long maintained we can do both of those things. We can be really good on the test and be excellent in terms of our communication, collaboration, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're both great examples of that. We've mentioned the SSAC, the Student Superintendent Advisory Council. By far, it is the best meeting I go to every month, bar none, right? I get to work with these really incredible 11th and 12th graders from each of our high schools. At our second meeting of the year, we held it at Del Norte High School. And Josue, you were there. It was really cool to see Carter and Bailey, along with 2 other peers from Del Norte, lead an activity with the rest of these really incredible students. What has the your participation on the SSAC. How do these experiences kind of help you bring your voice, not just to that table, but maybe outside of the group?
I think Bailey, you could answer this. This is your second
Sure.
year,
Yes,
right?
This is my second year. I was here on the SSAC last year as well, and it was a great experience. Hence why I'm back again.
Excellent.
But yeah, I think it's been really great to be able to have these conversations with other people from different high schools, as Carter was saying, because there is a very different and similar at the same time culture between every single high school in this district. And I'm learning things every single time from people that I'm like, oh, I never knew that, what was it, Poway had like the paper issue or whatever. Things that like I just never would think of when I'm stuck in the bubble of my own high school. And it's really been like enlightening for that reason. And then being able to present my own thoughts and address my own issues at my own school to these people who, you know, all have different experiences to me has been like really cool. And I feel like we all have such vastly different experiences. And when we come together and really just have that like hour and a half time to talk about it, we come up with some really great things that can be addressed and things that we can do to improve all of our schools.
Absolutely.
For sure. But yeah, I think for me personally, I think it's just cool to be able to have these conversations, right? But like in the kind of like a place of like almost like where we can make like changes, right? Like it's one thing like if you're just talking to your friends like, oh, like the bathrooms are always crowded or something, right? Or like, oh, the bathrooms are always closed, right? It's one thing just like talking about it, but like being able to bring it up to like the places where like a change could actually happen. I think that's been super cool. Something, I mean, again, this has only like been like 2 meetings, right? But I think just in my experience so far, it's been super cool to just be able to be like, you know, like this is a place where we could like really find solutions. And like also like you were saying, right, like all of our schools at PUSD, like they're all similar in certain ways, but at the same time they all have their own like unique different cultures and like
100%.
problems, right, and even solutions. So I think being able to sit down there and like kind of cross apply, like, oh, you know, we had that issue and like this is what we did, like I wonder if it worked for you guys and stuff, right? Just being able to have like identify the problems and just like provide solution, I think is super cool.
Yeah, what I'm most impressed with the group, one of the things that I'm most impressed with the group is the group's willingness to engage on a topic and to think creatively about solutions to that. So we have a student board member, Leanne Fan. She's a senior at Westview High School, and she asked the group most recently, you know, what are some of the topics that you feel passionately about, strongly about, and what are some challenges related to that topic that we might solve? Immediately, the idea of sustainability and recycling came up, and I was blown away by the different ideas that students had, things that I've never thought about, some things I have, but the creativity in coming up with identifying problems and then solutions, that was really impressive, and I'm really looking forward to more of those conversations.
And can I add to that, not only the creativity, the willingness to listen to somebody else's idea. Impressive. I mean, I was just like, whoa, these kids are going to change the future.
Yeah.
Sure. I say kids. I'm sorry. These students. Young people.
Yeah. So I also am interested in this idea. We've talked about confidence and how that's changed over time. We've talked about communication. I'm interested in hearing from you. If you could tell adults something about how young people communicate today, like what would you want your teachers or your parents or the community at large to know about how young people communicate today?
Do you want to start?
I'll start with this. I'll start with this one. That was a hard question, but I think just one thing that I think that we can communicate to parents, because I know a lot of this thing, like we deal with a lot of pressure, obviously, like at Poway, you know, world-class school, right? That comes with a lot of expectations, I think, sometimes, right? And I think part of the conversation that I think that we should shift to is that a lot of the times that we're sending stuff to like the parents, like, hey, like, we're like, you know, because I think a lot of the times we attribute like a lot of this pressure to like, oh, parents, or like, you know, oh, you have to go to like Harvard or something, right? And, you know, a lot of pressure to get into like good colleges or go like on a certain path that they want their kids to. But I think also a big part of communication, especially like on the student side, like you're saying, is that a lot of the pressure is one, internal, but two, I think most of it is amongst the peers. I feel like for me personally, and what I've seen with like people that I like just around Del Norte at least, is that a lot of the pressure I see comes from the students themselves, right? And in between the students, and it doesn't even have to be direct, like, oh, like you failed that test. Like people aren't going to be saying that, right? But it's just small things like, oh, like you didn't get into that, or like, oh, you didn't do that well in that test. Like, oh, right? Like just small things like that I think on the student side of communication, that a lot of it is student pressure. So I think just moving the conversation not fully away from like, oh, parents also, obviously parents are like our number one supporters, right? They should be. And I think that they have a very influential role on us as their kids, right? But I think a lot of the conversation should also move towards like the student population, where like a lot of the pressure is really from the students themselves, right? So yeah.
Great answer. Is it hard to be a student today, Carter?
You know, that's a good question. Honestly, I would say yes. It's funny. I was actually I was talking to someone, this like adult from UCSD. He's at the Supercomputer Center there, right?
Nice.
Not to do anything fancy, but I was just talking to him, right? I wasn't like solving anything. I was just talking to him, right? And he was just like, oh, like, you know, like I was talking to other kids, and I asked everyone like, oh, have any of you guys done calculus, right? And this was a group of like freshmen to seniors, and the entire room raised their hands like, oh yeah, we did calculus or in calculus. And he was like, what? That's crazy, right? That's calculus AB. He's like, I did that in like only the super high achieving people at my high school did calculus AB, right? The first calculus class that we have in my senior year, right? But then when everyone was raising their hands there, he was like, what about in BC, right? That's like calculus 2, right? Like a bunch of people raised their hands, and then he said even past that, like linear algebra, right? That's like, I think that's the one after that, right? I don't know, I'm not that advanced yet, but
Same.
you know, yeah. But what's it called? Linear algebra, right? And people are raising their hands. He's like, that's like an advanced college course. So I think it is just kind of just like something that's going to happen in just society as a whole, right? It's just the expectations are just going to keep getting higher. People are going to keep getting better. Education keeps getting better, but at the same time, like that pressure also increases, like coincidingly. So I don't know. I think being a student now, I don't think it's the worst thing, but I think there is definitely a lot of pressure, especially being at PUSD. So yeah.
Quick pulse check, because we have 2 other high school students in the room. Thumbs up. You guys agree back there? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Oh, yeah, very much. Thumbs up in the corner.
Yes.
Bailey, how about you? What's something that you'd like parents to know?
I mean, because Del Norte has the culture it has, my mind instantly went exactly the same place as Carter's. One thing, when you were telling that story about the asking who's taking calculus, it made me think of a similar but completely opposite story I have. I did a couple years back. This was 2 years ago. I did Mean Girls, and in that show, there's like one of the classes that she takes is calculus, and there's a whole song about it at the end. So our music director for the show asked us, has anyone here taken calculus? And I was the only person who raised my hand.
Wow.
This was like outside. It was pretty far. It was in like the Carmel Valley area. So definitely like everyone else except for like one person went to a different district. So it definitely like shows, you know, like we were saying, this is a very academically heavy and advanced district, especially Del Norte, and the pressure definitely comes from students. I'm going to do a quick shout out to my AP Lit teacher, Dr. Hall. He has said a lot about this. Because he has, I think, really interesting opinions on the whole academic pressure subject, and he's not afraid to tell them to our class. So he talks about how at Del Norte, like, we don't really have much, if any, of the like traditional bullying you'd see in like a Hollywood high school movie. But he says that our type of bullying is academic judgment, which I think is a really interesting thing to say. And like he was saying that, and I was like, that's kind of true. Like we definitely have a lot of that at our school, and it can become difficult to feel like you're falling behind, and no one is going to like straight up say, oh, you suck because you got a B in this class or a C or whatever. But there is a lot of that like underlying kind of judgment, and it's hard to find exactly where that stems from. A lot of people would say it comes from the parents and them pushing students to be able to get into colleges. A lot of people could say it comes from the colleges, which are becoming more and more difficult to get into as more and more people do more and more stuff. But there's a lot of different places as well, because it could be the students who are pressuring each other to do stuff, as you were touching on. And another thing that like Dr. Holt talked about quite a bit, which I think was just eye-opening in a way that not a lot of people in our area, I feel like, think about this. They're like, most colleges accept most students who apply to them. We only really think about the colleges that are like those 20% and less acceptance rates, and then we're like, every college is impossible to get into, but that's not really true. It's just the way that we perceive things, especially in an area where we have so many people who are privileged enough to be able to get into and go to these great schools. So it really like creates a difficult dynamic where people feel like this is what they have to do in order to go somewhere, but really the communication needs to be that that isn't, and there are so many other great places, and I wish that, you know, I had this talk prior to senior year. So yeah.
It's okay, you're having it now.
Yes, for sure.
Well, Bailey, Carter, thank you so much for being here today. Some of the topics that you've touched on have given me great ideas for future topics of future episodes. I would love to continue talking, and I certainly hope we have the opportunity to invite them back to a future episode.
Of course.
Okay,
Sounds
awesome.
exciting.
Awesome. Well, I think I have to sign off.
Yeah,
That-
so Dr. Churchill doesn't have a sign-off.
Oh, what?
So we have some options here for
We're
you.
in the process of
workshopping.
finding one.
Workshopping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is going to be interesting because we have students. We call this sign off the intersection between the dignity of a superintendent and a dad joke.
That sounds like a wonderful intersection.
Interesting.
To be in.
I'm interested to see what this looks like.
So
That's right. So I get to choose one of these on the card here.
and then as he has to deliver it with conviction.
Yes,
okay.
of
We're
course.
just here for emotional and audience support.
Do we have like papers with numbers we can?
Hold up, right?
Talk about
awesome.
bullying.
All right. Well, that's it for today on the Straight from the Supe podcast. And remember, in life, as in theater, projection matters.
What do we think?
I like
That's good.
I mean,
I'm
I
just
might be
confused.
biased.
That's good.
but I
I'm
like it.
confused.
It was good. Very well done. Very well done. Thank you
Very
both.
good. Very good. Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
for
us.
having
Yeah,
us.
thank you for having us.
Awesome.